camera view. Tell me when to turn it on.
Go.
Welcome into Rover-Sports. I'm Bruce the Sports Doc, and I'm here with my co-host Spencer G. And we're breaking down the Dallas Cowboys Green Bay Packers game.
Dallas.
Looking at it from the Cowboys standpoint.
What's happening in Dallas? How's everybody doing out there in Texas country? What a win for the Dallas Cowboys. 5-1. If I were to tell you, Bruce, Cam Newton is out. Cam Newton's out, right?
Yep,
and Dak Prescott started. So listen, at the beginning of the year, Romo gets hurt, okay? And Cam Newton is healthy. So it's Dak Prescott or Cam Newton. Which team is 1-5? Which team is 5-1?
Well, obviously, you'd think the Panthers would be the elite team, 5-1, but the Cowboys, behind Dak Prescott from Mississippi State, fourth-round draft pick, has played superb, has played poised, and certainly him and Carson Wentz are neck and neck for Rookie of the Year.
Absolutely, and what a game it was indeed. We're going to go ahead and funnel you some highlights that you'll eat up. It is a week to celebrate here. It is Cowboy Week, and what a performance from the Dallas Cowboys. Let's start out with Ezekiel Elliott. This dude, fourth-round pick. Everybody was screaming at Jerry, go get Jalen Ramsey, go trade up to get Joey Bosa, whatever. Why do we need another running back when our defense is not very good? And then you look at what Jerry did in the draft and getting Ezekiel Elliott. This guy could be a top 5 running back for so many years. He looks like Emmett reincarnated.
Certainly, you've got two great rookies. I don't remember the last time the Cowboys had two impact rookies. And looking at Dak Prescott, he set a record in this game for the most completions without an interception, albeit he did eventually throw an interception in INT, but looks poised, looks strong, and a man. And it's going to be interesting when Romo comes back because it's going to be hard to bench a guy who's on a winning streak.
Let's tee it up. We're here. We got to tee it up, right? We got to ask that question, the question that everybody in the free world is asking, Dak or Tony? And the thing is about Dak, we have to be objective here on this show. Dak Prescott, and it's not just because of Tony Romo and everything he's meant to the franchise, but you look at Dak Prescott, and he did make some mistakes. He fumbled it down his leg. He made a brutal interception. The cornerback, Ladarius Gunfer of Green Bay, those throws to it was a great throw in the end zone to Butler, to Bryce Butler. It was a great throw to Terrence Williams down the sideline. But other than that, he wasn't perfect out there by any means. He managed the game. He did have a couple of turnovers. That fumble should have been recovered by a Green Bay. So Tony could have easily went into Green Bay and still won that game, even played cleaner football. Now, is Dak Prescott helping Ezekiel Elliott, do you think, Bruce, with the run-read option, Fred?
Well, I think they're both helping each other. Ezekiel Elliott, what I love is his speed. I love his cutback ability. He just doesn't get caught for negative yardage. And I think the two of them are just playing well. Dak looks strong. Certainly, we watched him at Mississippi State, and he was a byproduct of that read option offense. It kind of didn't look pro-style, and he's just really adapted well. And give the Cowboys credit for a great game plan.
Well, the interesting thing now is you look at Dak versus Tony and Cole Beasley, where we're going to highlight him. He was absolutely exceptional in the football game. I mean, he was burning Micah Hyde like Micah Hyde was nothing.
He was burning his hide, actually. Like his hide was on fire.
And when you look at the Cowboys, I mean, Barry Church played exceptional. How about Byron Jones from Connecticut finally turning out? And Amber Alert, where's Jordy Nelson?
Jordy Nelson is missing in action. the Packers thought that when he came back, they would basically reduce their offense. But looking at the Cowboys' defense chipping away, you got Sean May in there, really good short tackling in the defensive backfield.
Yep.
And they really had Rodgers on the run. He was missing plays, and I think his rhythm is off. The Cowboys' D certainly underrated.
How about Mo Claiborne? I mean, the whole secondary. You know, even you look at several guys looking down the roster here for Big D. Anthony Brown. I mean, he struggled so much against Jeremy Curley. He was shirred up in the game against Green Bay. Now, Green Bay made their fair mistakes, but give Barry Church credit for making the interception. Dallas dropped 7 guys in coverage. They copied the Giants' blueprint versus Green Bay. Dropped everybody in coverage. McLean. What an exceptional game McLean had. The defensive line was stout when needed to, but the coverage was just impeccable. They made life very difficult for Aaron, the 3rd and 1 stop with the fullback. So Dallas, the defensive line is playing well. Byron Jones looks like a Pro Bowl safety out there. Barry Church is making plays all over the field. And Mo Claiborne on Jordy Nelson, I would have laughed in your face. You know, if you saw the stats of Jordy Nelson, he probably only had 2 receptions for 15 yards. If Mo Claiborne, considered a freaking bust out of LSU, for him to shut down Jordy Nelson, what a difference a year makes.
Well, I always like those. I always like those LSU players. Certainly, Jalen Mills is a rookie for the Eagles. I do like those players, and I think they just turned out some real fierce players in LSU. So I'm bullish on Claiborne, and we all know the Dallas offense, I think, is number 1 in the league. But you just didn't expect to see this fierce defense going into Lambeau and totally disrupting Aaron Rodgers. It's really surprising.
It's bend not break. And at home, I mean, the Packers are Aaron Rodgers still has terrific arm strength. If you look at the Cowboys, they have a bye week, and then they go ahead and play the Eagles. And the question still circles around Romo or Dak, and it's a question that we're gonna hit. If I was Jerry Jones, it's tough because the moral in the story is to let Tony Romo continue to play. You know, you drafted him out of Eastern Illinois. He's been he's been on the team for 13 years. He's had, and I'm not sure if 13 is the correct number. He's had some highs.
It seems like 13 years.
He's had highs.
Maybe not that long, but it sure seems like it.
He's had exceptional highs with the team, beating the Eagles in the playoff game, beating the Lions, coming back, clutch froze, regular season, Thanksgiving, Romo. But Romo's he thrives on mobility. He hits Witten well. Just bringing Romo back, I think the team will be okay, but I would still stick with Dak, and I want to hear your perspective.
Well, I'm looking at the NFC East. Obviously, you could look at the Redskins, and they had a big signature win at home against the Eagles. The Eagles are heading south right now. Literally, they're flying south. And if they lose against the Minnesota Bradfords, and they're going to be going into Big D off a bye, I think Dallas can eliminate them. They could basically put them in the rearview mirror and eliminate the Eagles. And I don't think anybody expected it. I think people expected 9-7. But looking at the Cowboys, whether it be Romo or Dak, I think they're playing exceptionally.
I still stick with Dak, though. You got it. I mean, that was great commentary. I just want to hear your answer, Romo or Dak, because, of course, Jerry's going to get ridiculed for that decision if it's
I think if he continues on a winning streak, I just think it's hard to bench Dak. He's the up-and-coming heir apparent. He looks very poised, strong. He's got it all. He checks off all the boxes. I just don't think if you bench him right now, especially if Romo has problems, I think you're going to get a lot of dissension. And this team, the Cowboys, have been old. They needed to retool, and now they've got Elliott and Prescott. I think these guys can play well for the next 10 years. I think the fans are totally into it. Prescott is playing great, and I think you go with the hot hand. And, in one hand, you shouldn't lose your job to injury. That is the story. But in this case, when somebody is winning, and winning strongly and setting records like no interceptions. You gotta go with the hot hand. So I personally wouldn't bench Dak. I think that would be a mistake.
He adds such a dimension to the game, Dak Prescott. And Dak Prescott, he's growing. He's growing in the system. They're the offensive coordinator, Linehan, is not giving Dak too much. He's finding Witten. He's throwing well to Terrence Williams. It's a lot of Zeke Elliott, and rightfully so. But you don't want to stunt Dak Prescott's growth. And it's not like Tony Romo has experience winning Super Bowls. Remember, Mark Sanchez has still won twice as many playoff games as Tony Romo. He still played pretty poorly up in Minnesota. The Giants game in 2011 where he was getting sacked, and the Giants went on to win the Super Bowl that year. But that was an elimination game. The screen pass disaster in Washington where RG3 beat Romo. He's had his opportunities. He's had a good career in Dallas. Absolutely. He's a great personality, great for the city of Dallas. But when you're rolling with Dak Prescott, Prescott's playing well right now. He's not incredible, but Prescott is playing pretty darn well, and he's only going to get better. You stick with him.
Well, I'm going to look at things from a sports medicine standpoint. That's why they call me the sports doc. Look at Romo. He's really a warrior. So what did he suffer? Injuries last year? He suffered a fractured clavicle. Actually had to have surgery on the clavicle. He suffered multiple rib fractures. He has sustained knee injuries, bad knee injuries, hip injuries, and hand injuries, thumb injuries. And this accumulates in a quarterback in his late 30s. And, I'm just thinking he's not going to be durable. He usually is not durable. And you've got Prescott looking strong with I think, unusual arm strength, runs the ball, knows how to move in the pocket. We watched the whole film, and the way he moves laterally in the pocket, the way he dances, just as a guy who has a lot of exceptional ability.
Well on the run.
And he's only going to get better. So
climbs the
do you
pocket.
stifle his progress by taking him out when he's just doing nothing but winning? I think not.
It's awkward. I'm sure Dallas Cowboy fans would rather say, like, if Tony Romo for some reason was off of Dallas, if he was like on the Buffalo Bills and the Cowboys didn't even worry about the dilemma at all, the team would be just fine with Dak Prescott. And you look at, Romo, do you think that Tony Romo is it would still be 5-1? Sure. But the future is Dak. Why stunt his growth? It's an awkward situation if not. Tony's got to be mature, understand that this kid's faster than him, the arm strength's about the same, and if the quarterback play is about the same, and I think Dak Prescott might be clutcher than Tony Romo in the playoffs, the team is just rocking right now. Now, I want to get to a quick another segment. This is just my hypothesis, Bruce, and that is Dez Bryant. Dez Bryant, to me, is a player that's an exceptional talent, but is a diva wide receiver. Yells on the sidelines, oftentimes loses his control. Now, he's been coaching the young guys well this year, but as a quarterback, would I want to have Dez Bryant as a wide receiver? He would create dissension, in terms of Dak Prescott. If he's not getting the football enough, the team is rolling with Cole Beasley. Bryce Butler's having his best year. Terrence Williams is stepping up. The team at wide receiver is playing just fine, and Zeke Elliott's getting his opportunities. When Dez Bryant is on the field, you kind of have a burden to have to give him the football. I'm just curious what you think. Is the team just even playing better without Dez Bryant, as ridiculous as that may sound on the surface, Bruce?
Well, they're certainly playing well, and I think Dak, he seems to have the ability to be strong, and basically we know Bryant is a game changer. He's a game breaker. You certainly looked at Odell Beckham Jr. in the Giants game. When you have a guy who has that type of ability, the crossing pattern, they won the game against the Ravens. That's what Bryant is. He's a game breaker. Beasley's a possession receiver, and when he comes back, he's projected to come back maybe between week 10 and week 12. I just think he's going to have to. They're going to. I think it's the coaching staff's going to have to keep him under control.
They've never been able to do that, and that's what I'm saying is that Dez Bryant is out right now. Ezekiel Elliott's running the football. The wide receivers are blocking better. There's often times where Dez will quit on a play too, where he won't block. He's going to yell at Dak if he doesn't get the ball. Him and Jason Witten are going to flip out on the sidelines, and the whole thing's going to go awry.
I don't think
a lot of times he's been.
Witten's going. I'm sorry. I don't think Witten's going to flip out.
Well, Dez flips out on Jason Witten. That in the Detroit game last year, I mean, that's really what happens. And I know Dez is a sensational player, but sometimes for the majority of his career, let's face it, he's been a me guy. Would you say Dez is a me guy or a team guy?
I think he is, but I could look around the league, and I could see certainly Deshaun Jackson is a me guy. Odell Beckham has been a big distraction for the Giants this year.
And they're not very good.
The teams that don't have any, you look at the Eagles, they don't have any impact players. They have no divas because they've got no wide receivers.
But they don't have Ezekiel Elliott, and they don't have a running game. Dallas is fine without Dez Bryant. You're 5-1.
Well, as I said,
I think you could trade Dez Bryant, and the team is actually going to be better because I value chemistry.
You just don't.
I have nothing against Dez, but just from an outsider's point of view, he seems like a distraction.
You're not going to see a Dez Bryant trade in the middle of the season. That just doesn't happen in the NFL. It happens in other leagues. It's not basketball. And when Dez Bryant comes back, they're going to welcome him back, and I think that he will be an impact player. And they're going to have to ignore him if he's going to sit there and sulk. Well, then you're going to have to do some discipline, just like with the Giants. They tried to discipline their diva, and no, it'll be so. You really have different interplays. You really have Romo versus Prescott. You really have what happens when Brian comes back. So there's a lot of intriguing interpersonal developments that we'll be following closely here on Rover-Sports.
It's not the worst thing. If Barry Church and Byron Jones could continue to play well, the play calling of Scott Linehan, he needs to still run the football and not be afraid to offend Dez Bryant because Dez is a strong personality. And listen, if Dez Bryant, understands at this point in his career, he's getting up there in age. If he's a team guy, he's proven this year on the sidelines he's been great. He's an exceptional talent. Just for Dez Bryant, if he shows signs of being selfish and flipping out, you got to cut the cord quickly because Garrett is a walkover. He's a player's coach. I still am so not really confident in Jason Garrett. He's been walked over by Dez and has lost control. When Dez gets back, the team's just got to stay mellow, whether it's Tony or Dak Prescott with the whole Dez thing coming back. It's interesting, but it's an embarrassment of riches. Dallas, enjoy the bye week. Your team is rolling.
Well, we just want to tell you who we are. We are Rover-Sports. You could find us. You could like us on Facebook, Rover.Sports. And my name is Bruce Grossinger, so you could try to log in my Facebook page. And we've been doing this a while. We just got a great new studio. We're going to be doing Mevo, which is a mobile studio. We'll be coming to your town. That is, we'll be coming to the beautiful city of Dallas, one of our favorite places. Best steakhouse is Three Forks.
Three Forks.
And we're going to be coming down, the best stadium in the league for sure, no doubt. Yes. And we'll be coming down. So everybody, like us, certainly share us with your friends. And thanks for logging in to Rover-Sports at nighttime. Cowboys wrap up.
Can't wait to go down to Dallas.
And as I always say, good night and good sports.
Like us on Facebook, guys, and take